Welcome to Two Mothers, One Aché, a grief dialogue. I'm Dionne.
And I'm Yvette. We're mothers, friends, and sisters in grief.
I lost my daughter, Siwe, at 15 years old.
And I lost my son, Dasan, at 26.
This podcast is our space to talk about grief, how it shapes us, how it lingers, and how love carries us through. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey girl, hey. How you doing?
Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're watching us today. I'm Yvette Davila, co-host of Two Mothers, One Aché.
Dionne C. Monsanto, co-host of Two Mothers, One Aché.
I'm so excited today, by the way. I'm so excited that I'm like, let's get to it. Let's get to it because we have our first guest today.
It's so exciting. It's, and I think you know this already, but it's like, okay, we've been playing, like we're really two sisters and we're always in the house playing. We have sleepovers and now we have somebody else coming to the sleepover. So somebody else is coming to the cookout.
It's going to be like, ding dong, come in.
All right. So once she comes on, then we'll do our normal breath, but I want to let you know who she is, our friends at home. So I'll tell you who she is. And when she comes on, we'll do our breath because I don't want her to miss that part because she needs it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. By the way, she's into it.
Yeah, she's totally into it. Myra. So I'll tell you a little bit about Myra. She's got an extensive bio, but I'll give you a teaser. The most important part to me is she's also a grieving mother. So Myra Sack is the author of award-winning memoir, 57 Fridays, Losing Our Daughter, Finding Our Way. The book is amazing. And she's the founder of eMotion, a nonprofit organization created to support community, movement, and ritual to enhance coping and resilience. Similar to Evie and I, her life changed when her older daughter, Javi, died January of 2021. So blending her lived experience and knowledge as a certified compassionate bereavement care provider with her lifelong identity as an athlete, she founded this eMotion, and it also blends in her career and social impact. So I could tell you a lot more about her, but I really want to bring her into the room so we can all chat and play together.
Yeah, we're going to cover, I just want to bring this point up that we're going to cover grief in the body today. How does grief show up in the body? And honestly, having read Myra's book, I can't think of a better person to navigate us through that journey.
Yeah. She's amazing.
I'm excited.
Yes. What are we having for dinner?
Yeah, right. Exactly. What do you want? I couldn't listen. I'm a trained chef, Myra. I don't know if you know this about me, but I can. So listen, it's a la carte around here. Whatever you want, I can make.
All right.
Yeah, she's got one of those. So while you were in the back, I told them all these wonderful things about you because you're wonderful. But before we get started, one of the things we do here with Two Mothers, One Aché, and how wonderful it is, it's Three Mothers, One Aché today, that we always start with the breath. Because when we start talking about this stuff, and you know this when we've worked together before, Myra, that we just need to ground ourselves in our body. So for my friends at home, if you haven't joined us before, find some place to sit down, put your feet on the ground, in the grass. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, please. And I tend to place one hand on my heart and place another hand on my belly and close my eyes. And we'll just take a few deep breaths so we can join and come into this space together. So wherever you are in the world, take a deep breath in and just a gentle sigh out. 2 more times. In and out. Last time together, family. Pull air in, hold it in. And a gentle sigh out.
Now we could get to it, Myra.
Yes.
As you know,
welcome.
This sort of breathing exercise helps us just being able to form the words and get the knot out of our throat and move the energy from our belly into our hearts, and so that way we can, in pursuit of our purpose after our babies have transitioned to the other side.
Love that.
So, there's so many things, but one thing we talked about is how grief has shown up in our bodies, and then we want to pass it to you, Myra. And what Evie just said is about it being a knot in your throat. And when I share, even saying now it's 2 mothers, 1 Aché, and with you here, it's 3 mothers, 1 Aché, and that we all share that same heartache. So that word heartache, we know it in the heart, but I swear so much it's in my belly and my throat. It feels like it's choking and it's hard to gather myself. And that's one way it shows up for me. And then I stop in that sensation. And then wanting to eat it, feeling it in the stomach as an emptiness and wanting to fill the void. And there's just not enough food in the refrigerator, the corner store, the bodega, there's just not enough to fill it. So that's how it shows up for me. I'd love to hear from you and Evie, Evie, how's it show up for you? So Myra can support us and share with our listeners what that's like.
Yeah, I've never been one to appreciate movement in the form of exercise. So I'm not a big gym goer. I'm not a big, physical fitness person, never have been. But I got to tell you that I have never felt bodily aches like the ones that have come from my trauma over losing Dasan and the pain of grief. And I feel it everywhere. But particularly when he first transitioned, because he passed away from complications of cardiac arrest, I really did feel the pains of my heart. And I don't think that it was only like the figurative heartache. I truly do believe that it was the untethering, his untethering from me that I felt physically manifests itself in my body.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, and we know about the wisdom of the body, like our bodies are wise. They remember, they know how long these humans lived in our bodies, and they respond. And they do hold us through loss. And so passing it to you, Myra, let's talk about what that means.
Yeah, I mean the moment that really stands out for me when I really appreciated what it meant for grief to sit in the body was when a few months after Javi died, this will start as a funny story and then get real, was that I was sort of addicted to ice cream. I still am. I love ice cream. I have it every night. And I'm kind of the resident scooper in the house. So, because I don't like people to scoop my ice cream for me. They don't give me enough, whatever. And so all of a sudden I had this really bad sort of ache in my back. And I assumed that it was from, I assumed that I pulled a muscle from scooping ice cream, that that it was just too frozen. I was working too hard at it. And what ended up actually being the reality was that I got shingles. I had shingles about 20 years too young. And obviously, the shingles were in response to Javi's death. And it was in that moment that I moved from sort of believing in my head to believing in my heart, the way in which the body and grief are really so deeply connected that it's cellular, and that I had to learn how to move with my grief in a way that was going to save my life. And that really became the impetus for the work that I do, the service that I see as sort of essential now in my life.
Wow. I love every time we come on these, like I've worked with you twice, so I haven't known you a million years like Evie, but I didn't know that before. And for me, and I don't think I told you this, I was hospitalized before my daughter died. But since my daughter died of suicide, my grief, and they say that, grief that is in the lungs when people associate certain body parts. And so I was hospitalized with pneumonia before she died. But there was a sense of grief because I was losing her before she was gone. And that aspect for us, Myra, is similar without telling your story. And then after she died, I got pyelonephritis, which for those of you at home who've never heard of this, it's basically your blood is almost septic. Your blood is poisoning itself. And not, you started with like the kidney infection gone really bad. And that was after she died in less than 2 months. And I was in the hospital for 3 days. And it's
Yeah, I want to affirm that, Dionne. And I developed non-alcoholic fatty liver. And, they say that anger lives in the liver. And I lied to myself that I wasn't angry about Desan's passing. I, because I was peaceful in my anger. My anger wasn't external. I didn't realize that what I was doing was I was stuffing my anger over losing him into my liver, and my liver became sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course. Wow.
So you've just met us and we've come to emotion. And where do we go with this, Myra?
Wow. Well, first of all, I think that this notion of awareness, whether it's bodily awareness or emotional awareness, really like understanding what we are feeling is sort of countercultural in some ways, because we spend so little time on what is really going on. We use that R word, so much of our kind of day-to-day interactions with people are superficial. And what grief work to me is about is the first step is learning what we're feeling. And it sounds not sophisticated, it sounds pretty basic, but when you move from sort of self-awareness, you can shift into self-trust. And when we trust ourselves, now we can walk around with some sort of psychological Teflon, actually. Teflon is something, if you dress yourself in Teflon, if someone says something to me, that is harmful, that dismisses my grief, that minimizes it, all of a sudden that just sort of washes right off of me because I'm operating from a place of self-trust. We can only get to self-trust, though, once we've done the awareness work. And that awareness work can sort of reveal itself in the body. It can reveal itself by that knot in the throat, losing hair, getting some sort of autoimmune disease that seemingly comes out of nowhere, but has really been sort of building up inside of us. And once we become aware, we can move with what is so heavy and so hard and so painful. And so at emotion, we talk about no forced pace, no forced feelings. We talk about just starting with a quiet mile every day. And we really talk about quiet-ish, because being in quiet can be really, really hard for people like us who are grieving, because when it's quiet, we can hear our hearts. And sometimes those aches are just too big. We don't have the coping capacity to be with them. So we sort of create these companions for our people to move with grief and move just for 1 mile a day. That can be a walk, a jog, a hike. It could be a walk to and from the mailbox 1,000 times, doesn't matter. But that movement, the reason it's so powerful is because that patterned, repetitive, rhythmic activity, and those words matter. This is from Dr. Bruce Perry's science. Dr. Bruce Perry is, he wrote What Happened to You. He co-authored it with Oprah. So it's, it's a well-known book, and his science is incredible on why is movement so important. It's important because that patterned, repetitive, rhythmic activity is the first somatosensory memory we have from when we were in our mother's womb. When we listen to her heartbeat, that same ba-dum, 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 we tap into that same patterned, repetitive, rhythmic activity when we do anything that is in motion: walk, swim, run, sway. And that allows us to benefit from the strongest inherently regulating mechanism that we have in us. And when we are in motion, then we can hold things that are impossible. I can hold the death of my daughter slightly more gently with a little bit more softness when I'm in motion than even when I'm sitting here. And so that, I think, is where we start at emotion. We start from there.
That resonates so deeply for me. And I did tell Evie about the session that we had together where you broke down while we were on camera, just like this, what it means to walk and how you have to lift, move, place, and shift. Did I get it right?
Nailed it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I had never thought about, with what you just said, the walking and the heartbeat and the pace. And since I did go for a walk with my sister today already, and feeling that and thinking of it, knowing I'm going to see you and what it means, using my hands as my feet. For those of you that are on Spotify, you're going to have to head over to YouTube to see the shenanigans. But the way it looks when you move the feet and feeling all of that and connecting deeply. You know what? I love where we're going and the support and the walking and the meditation. And while we mention Javi, they know that my daughter died by suicide and Dasan died from sudden cardiac arrest. But I think we should also mention with Javi, because I had never heard of the disease before I met you. So we want to bring that element in too, because they're aware of our losses, and to understand, for me, how monumentally big it is for you to use your baby girl to lose Javi at such a young age, and how you created this experience to support all of us as grievers, and letting them understand, how she passed with Tay-Sachs.
Yeah. So Javi is my daughter who died of Tay-Sachs disease, which is a neurodegenerative disease. It's fatal, and it's genetic. Javi got Tay-Sachs because both my husband and I were carriers for the disease. We were actually tested pre-conception, meaning that before Javi was even an idea, we both pursued genetic testing. And sort of devastatingly, Matt, my husband, was misreported as not a carrier, when in fact he was. And so we went ahead and got pregnant, assuming that this horrific, fatal neurodegenerative disease wasn't going to be in our family system. And what this disease means is that it takes everything from an infant. So Javi kind of progressed somewhat normally, somewhat typically, until about a year. And then over the course of 15 months, we watched her lose everything: the ability to sit up, the ability to swallow. She never learned how to speak. Walking was never in her future. And so of many of the cruel ironies of Javi's life was that her body failed her. And yet now so much of my work is in how we tend to our bodies. And so there is a lot in there as a bereaved mom, working through why and how I have the right to nourish my own body when I couldn't nourish my daughter's. And, when I can push myself to move miles every day, and she never took a step. And so much of being a bereaved mom is sort of working through the complicated emotions around what it's like to be here in some ways without our children, and our role in sort of being okay with existing in the land of the living without our babies. Yeah.
Thank you.
Myra, thank you so much for sharing Javi with us through your story on it's 57 Fridays, right? And I I began referring to Javi as my niece because I found sisterhood in your words. And what amazing care you provided for Hobby. She had the most fantastic 2 years
Thank you.
that any 2-year-old can have. Surrounded by the sibs and the grands and the crew and the posse. It is the most fulfilling story of anyone's life that I've ever experienced.
Oh my God.
And let's take a deep breath and pause.
And we'll be right back.
Welcome to Merrick Studios, where stories take the mic and culture comes alive.
We're not just a network, we're a family, bringing you smart, soulful, unfiltered conversations.
And this season, we're bringing the heat with our biggest lineup yet. Whatever you're into, music, sports, business, we got you covered.
Merrick Studios, where the conversation starts and keeps going.
Check out our full lineup, including Unglossy with Bun B, Jeffrey Sledge, and myself, Tom Frank. Now streaming at wearemerrickstudios.com.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to the show.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
All right, nothing's coincidental. We had a little bit of technical issues with my mic. So we had to take a quick pause, but I needed that time because I was talking about my niece Javi and her life and her beautiful life, and I needed a moment because I was getting very emotional. I want to switch gears just slightly because something struck me in your book, Myra, that I was like, if this sister don't stop preaching, like I was in the aisles, like, oh, she got a testimony, and so do I. So, you talk about the cultural struggles, the emotional inability of American culture to deal with grief in a sane and healthy manner. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because Dionne and I spoke about this in an earlier episode, but we need to keep driving this point home.
I think we are so ill-equipped as a culture, as an American culture, to support people through things that are real, through things that are deep. The spaces we have today are so superficial in general that people turn away from moments where pain is on full display, moments where that ache is embodied, moments where there is no fix, where there is no way to move faster, quicker, where the title that you occupy in your job isn't enough. And I think this comes from fear. I think this is fear-based, that ultimately we're afraid to feel, we're afraid to feel anything that is complicated. And
there's fear. I'm like, I agree. And I'm going to add on. It was like, since you like ice cream, let's get a cherry on the top. So I can get some toppings on this. That it is the fear. It is the lack of the R word, the 4-letter word, the R word, being real, and the lack of that. But there's no quick fix because everything has to happen in this short thing. And it's like, okay, you need to be like, okay, this happened, you should be good. Like, how do we move on? It's like the feeling and this cultural thing. And Evie and I, we didn't talk about this, but it's so American to be so disconnected from your emotions that you say that like, oh, I'm feeling away. What? Way? Like what?
Yeah.
You go to another country and tell somebody, well, I'm feeling away about that. They're going to like, ma'am, I'm feeling away.
Yeah.
But every American gets, I'm feeling away because we don't have the words.
Yeah.
Totally. And I mean, yeah, on the time horizon, there's no wonder. I mean, there's no bereavement leave that typically extends beyond 3 days. There's no capacity to hold anything that feels hard for a long period of time. I think because we haven't developed the sort of emotional musculature to hold that, and so we don't. And that's part of why grief shows up in the body so much. Because
that's what you said. Like, you're dropping knowledge right here. When you're talking about system, let's say that again. Emotional, muscular. Say it again. Emotional what?
Emotional musculature. Yeah.
Musculature. Emotional musculature. I feel like we've heard about emotional intelligence, but emotional musculature. So how it lands in your body. So there's this part of, if I don't know how to hold it in the world, I can't hold it in my brain. How do I hold it in my body, Myra?
Right. Well, I mean, I think, Dionne, I think some of what happens is because we are so distanced from pain, we create theories for people, right? We try to rationalize. We sort of, we tell people's pain away. But when you're close to pain, you can't rationalize anything. It's, and that's real. That's why we feel this intimacy among the three of us, because none of us is trying to distance ourselves, because we know there's no theory that can sit in the spaces in this conversation. There's just heartache. There's just missing. There's just anguish. And when we stay there, there's real capacity for connection. But that happens so little. Instead, we try to fill our spaces with theory. And that's really sad to me. It's hard to find friendship in that.
Whew. She's okay. She's gone to church.
She going to church. She going to church, honey.
We got Misa, we got a kitchen table, we got the prayer. And I'm like, I'm over here swaying, like, yes. I'm like rocking as you say that. And it brings me again back to the breath. And just the nervous system. Because I don't like the word hard, but even as a yoga teacher and teaching people how to breathe, right? And not wanting them to go into this fight or flight, and us knowing how to breathe to release certain things and create ease and flow in our body, and allowing those longer exhales. Like, what do you tell people, Myra, about breathing?
We do some breath work that's pretty simple, but that tries to prevent under breathing, which can happen so much when we're stressed or when we're dysregulated. So we do a deep inhale through our nose. And when we think we've got all the air we possibly can, we take an extra sip at the top, we say, which came from my grief therapist. So we do sort of a double inhale, which looks like this. And then a big exhale. And what we invite, because this worked for me, is an exhale where you sort of imagine your breath actually traveling all the way down to the toes. And then only once you sort of think your breath has made contact with your toes can you wiggle them. Do it 3 times together. We'll take a deep inhale through our nose. Take an extra sip at the top, and then let your breath travel all the way down to your toes. And when it makes contact with them, wiggle your toes, and then send that energy back up through the inhale, and do it 2 more times.
Let me tell you, that is gold standard breathing right there.
What?
Like, by the way,
wait, We have to charge for this episode. We're going to have to put this with the charge for this one.
We are. Because let me tell you something. Y'all better get off Spotify, head on over to YouTube and watch this magic happening right now because, baby.
Like y'all, they had to. I mean, I don't know what it looks like, but because I'm feeling it, but I could feel it. I felt the smile come across my face. I had a visual of myself lying down, and I felt like it was not just the breath moving through my body. It was like this ocean, like the water washing, and it was this washing and cleansing. It felt like such a cleansing breath that covered, especially since it was all the way through my toes and the water was wiggling under my feet. It was a full body embodied experience of breath.
I feel like my body still wants to keep breathing in that way. It feels like like it wants it to be that, like, that's a normalized form of breathing for me. My body is asking for it right now. Like, I'm finding myself wanting to fill my lungs up to capacity and then pushing that even further. But isn't that parallel to the way that we should be approaching our grief? Right? Shouldn't we face it and allow it to the pain of it all fully encompass us, and then push it just a little further so that way we can get through it?
Wow.
I'm going to go yes and then I'm going to tag team Myra in, because what we talked about off camera when we were just chatting is community. Myra talks about community in her book. She's created community with emotion. You and I have created community with our clients. So you have to have that safe space to go that deep with your grief.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think community is so fundamental, and yet it should be a right for every griever, and yet it's so rare for us. And I think part of that is because of what we talked about a few moments ago, this kind of grief illiteracy. And so how can we expect grieving people to exist in community when that community really doesn't know how to show up for us in ways that, Yvette, to your point, to allow us to slow down, to sort of acknowledge pace in grief, that to sort of honor our people in a way that feels genuine and authentic and not forced or superficial. And so for me, I'm sort of on this mission, as you are, to really make sure communities are grief literate.
Yes.
And that's hard. It's hard. Like, it's not
It is.
Yeah.
There's no one-stop shopping. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Dee. In our first episode, we opened up with introducing ourselves, and we told our beautiful listeners and our supporters that Dionne and I, like, our number one focus is to create this community, and we want to invite everyone in, and it's a kitchen. Envision it as our kitchen table, and you're coming in and you're sharing this walk with us, right? And so building community, to your point, Myra, is a right. It's a right that we have, and one that we, like any relationship, we should be supporting that relationship. We should be working for that relationship with others in grief.
And lovingly, because there was something else in the book, and I'm sure you wrote this down in your notes, Yvette. Again, everybody means well. I'm going to do that disclaimer. People open their mouth and put their foot in, and that's not their intent. But I was mad at the rabbi. I was mad that she came so highly recommended. I was, right? We were ready to wait. Evie and I were getting the Vaseline.
I was taking my earrings off. I was ready to fight the rabbi. Like, yo, like, don't come at Myra like that. Like, don't do that, Rabbi.
And so at every level, because I would like to think that our spiritual leaders have been trained and there's a level of compassion. But when we come back to what you said, Myra, the grief illiteracy. So whether you're a rabbi, whether it's, African traditional religion or Christianity, people are still approaching it in a way that's callous and insensitive and judgmental about, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Here's what you should do. And you said it perfectly. You were like, okay, that's what you would do. That you're not me.
Yeah. I mean, we said that's bullshit, and thank gosh we did, because those 57 Fridays saved our lives and still do today. And I think that this idea that there is a way to do this, there is a way to live with the worst thing is, yeah.
And there wasn't, this whole practice of being a death doula, because that to me is you were ahead of the game, right? You embraced it, and you embraced it for a young child and created a tradition that we get to share in the glory of from the book, and looking at the intentionality. And for me, we've talked about, each of us different ages, but for me, I'm approaching, I don't know how many Fridays I have left. I don't know how many birthdays I have left, but I'm living each day with intentionality. So for today, I have this. So when you talk about that movement, knowing that we were getting together today, that I took time with my sister so we could walk and stretch and talk and connect, and like all of these things, like how we're nourishing ourselves to get through hopefully a lot more than 57 Fridays, but with intentionality. So I want to hear from you, like some simple care things, because I know that's very important to you and your community with emotion. What does that look like? Like yoga helped me, walking helped me, dance has helped me, music has helped me. Those are the physical embodiment of how I move through my grief. Those are my somatic experiences that shift and transform and move it out of my body on a daily basis. But I want you to give our listeners some things that will support them.
Well, the first is, you use the word intention so beautifully, and the root of the word intention is from Latin tendere, which actually means to stretch. And so when we create intention, we are stretching our minds, our hearts, to create space for what is hard and what requires spaciousness. And so one of the first things we do with our communities is we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that when we're moving in and out of spaces, we have to set intention, because it's the only way that we create space for what is often so restricted in our lives when we interact with people who can't hold our pain with us. And so that's the first, just this appreciation for some intentionality in micro rituals. I think that's the second thing, is this: what are the micro rituals that we can integrate in our lives that allow us to turn towards, like Yvette said, to turn towards what is requiring our attention. And so often that's our grief or our love. And those are, we know, sometimes one and the same. And so for me, a micro ritual was making a blueberry smoothie every day after Javi died, because I made one for her in the last few months of her life. That was the way she got the calories she needed. And so I needed to hear that blender, and I needed to see that color. And so we ask our community members, what is a micro ritual? It doesn't need to be a 45-minute meditation session. It doesn't need to be a 3-mile hike in some gorgeous place. What is that 17-second blender moment for you that gives you a sense that you are being seen, that your grief is being tended towards, that allows you to get through a day? So that's the second thing, is sort of this micro ritual question. On the movement piece, it's really a matter of, I think, first of all, on one end of the spectrum, knowing that just putting 2 feet on the ground, that's enough.
Yes,
Getting
Lord.
yourself out of bed and planting 1, 2 on the ground.
I'm high-fiving you right now.
Enough. That is enough. It is hard as hell to do that. And so if that's where you are, that is so beautiful that you are planting your 2 feet in the land of the living today. and stay there for as long as you need that to be your practice.
Mm.
On the other end of the spectrum, if you are ready for something that is moving beyond sort of that gentle practice, then we help people figure out what that is. And we help them figure out what it is. And for some people it's running, for some people it's swimming or hiking or walking, and we design practices that feel meaningful for their bodies. So that's sort of what I would say.
I love that. And I love that it's custom. There's no one size fit all. It is, this is what feels good today. This is what you can do. And you have a community to witness that for you. Like, I'm gonna tell Evie's business. I've been personally witnessing her getting into this walking journey. You know, she told us, like, I don't really like doing all this moving thing. But she loves plants and she loves nature, and she's been finding all these nature trails where she lives. And I've been loving watching the videos of like, yes, sis, let's go. Let's enjoy this. So it's, for me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Evie, it's the walk is part of it, but it's the beauty of nature and the gift of what we've been given, and to walk through and experience it is what I feel when I watch the videos of her walking.
Yeah, I mean, and just to add to, and you said it eloquently, but just to add to that, there's this level of discovery that makes me feel alive. And being able to witness nature just existing, and connecting to that. And you speak a lot about connecting to nature in your book, Myra, and it not only resonated, but like I truly appreciated being seen, because a lot of one of the rituals, if you will, for me was gardening and having plants. Dasan came to me like this house that we have. I moved into this house the night that Dasan passed away. I had nothing. I had a couple of beds and a table in this house and nothing else. And he came in a few days after he transitioned, and he said, bring some plants into the house, Mom. The plants are going to bring life in the face of me being gone, like in the face of his loss, that I will bring life into this house via plants. And my sunroom, SON and SUN room, is a source of not pride for me, but it is an extension of life for me. So yeah.
Wow.
And having witnessed it, it's so beautiful, Myra. It is, it's literally, since she's in the burbs and I'm in the city, it is like definitely bigger than some people's bedroom. And these plants take up all the space in their sunroom, and they're like reaching across to each other. Like you come into the sunroom, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, did I disrupt a conversation? Because
yeah, they're conversing back and forth. They love each other. Like they have their own little party going on down there.
I have to share that this is the poem that we shared with our members that accompanied their quiet mile today was Ada Limon's After the Fire. I think I have it. She says, you ever think you could cry so hard that there'd be nothing left in you, like how the wind shakes a tree in a storm until every part of it is run through the wind. I live in the low parts now, most days a little hazy with fever and waiting for the water to stop shivering out of the body. Funny thing about grief, its hold is so bright and determined, like a flame, like something almost worth living for. And I had to read because I know that Dionne, your fire ritual, and Yvette, your like the natural world nourishing and the sunroom. Sometimes I think only the natural world can give us what we need. Remember that it's worth staying.
Aché.
Yeah.
Worth staying. It's worth staying, because how many of us have contemplated, right?
course.
not
right?
yeah.
Not
No,
staying.
of
And
course.
it's not necessarily like you're not existing anymore.
Right.
It's that you're not participating in your
Yes,
existence
Yes.
yes,
anymore.
yes.
Yes. That
It's
participation.
that part. It's oh my goodness, and that was something. And I had not read this poem. I have a girlfriend who in her signature she has Emily Dickinson as the ending quote or signature. But what you have in your book, in this short life that
Mm,
only lasts an hour, and I was like, whew.
mm,
And then how much, how little is within our power. So to understand what you said, just with that part, right? From Emily Dickinson and you breaking down intentional
mm,
and where that comes from and to stretch, we are being stretched. And we have to lean into this intention with how we greet each other, how we call the names of our loved ones, as we've brought, Siwe, Dasan, and Javi into this space, and we're family, even if we can't see them and hold them in the same way, acknowledging their favorite colors and foods and all of that stuff. That for me is also a part of this ritual of remembrance to go, I can't see you, but you're here.
mm.
I
It's
can't.
Aché.
It's
It's Aché.
Aché.
Wow.
Myra, are you familiar with the term Aché?
I wasn't. Tell me.
Okay. So Aché is spelled, well, it can be spelled different ways depending on where it is in the diaspora. But it's a Yoruba word. And the way that Dionne and I have chosen to spell it is ACHE with an accent on the E. So if you take the accent off, it could be eight
Hey.
as
Yeah.
well, right? And so,
Right.
but Aché means life force.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just talked about
Mm,
what Aché is, Dionne, and um,
Yeah.
and that stretching. I mean, the word intention, Myra, how you explained the root word and the stretching, and then just taking it one step further, right?
mm,
Because we have the capacity to
mm,
do that. I know that we're gonna start winding down pretty soon, but it would behoove me to not read a few quotes,
mm,
notables from your book.
mm,
So if you guys will just, allow me. Uh, you talk about Melinda Ribner's book
mm,
in your book, and you say, and there was a quote: a great soul usually reincarnates not in a single body but in many people.
Mm.
I mean, talk about Aché.
mm, mm,
Talk about how the life continues.
mm,
Mm.
And with awareness, before you go to the next quote, because what was special about that, there's so many parts of the book, they make you pause. It is a quick read, but it's not an easy read because you have to sit with yourself and reflect on so many things. So with that one, I could look around and see who and how and where do I see people that are no longer with me? What element of them lives on in that person or in this space?
Yes. Yeah. Um, the next one: running is a meditative practice, even when it doesn't feel good. Now, isn't that grief as well?
yeah.
Right? The practice of getting through grief
Mm, mm,
can be a meditative practice if you allow it to, if you open yourself up to listening. My interpretation of meditation is when you pray, you're talking to God. When you're meditating, you're listening to God. If you listen to all the aspects of your grief and you allow yourself to sit in it, it is a practice
Mhm.
that is difficult,
mm.
but healing.
Wow. Wow.
That was
Mm.
just so
Mm,
incredibly beautiful to me. And the last one, your Blythe. Off camera, I told you that Dionne is my Blythe, and
mm,
and your Blythe said, maybe you haven't wanted maybe you haven't wanted your full light to shine. Maybe you don't realize how big your light can be. Maybe. Myra Sack, girl, your light is as bright as it can be. And your Aché screams loud. And I feel your Aché. And I just want to say, my goodness, thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing my niece Javi with the world. I couldn't be more in love with you in this moment, honestly. And with that, Dionne, let's move on to our moment of Aché, yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, family. We told y'all from the beginning, you need to have your tissues ready. You need to have your water. Be well hydrated because it's a journey.
It's
I
a
feel like if I look at my Fitbit, it's going to say that I got some zone minutes in because my heart has been like, it's an experience. So what we talk about, Myra, and you know what? Before we do our Aché moment, I want to give you just a brief pause. Before we close out and we have our moment of Aché, is there something you want to share with our listeners or us?
Everyone should just be so lucky to spend an hour with Dionne and Yvette. It's like this is on another level from anything I've experienced. And I just feel incredibly grateful to have come to know you both. And I'm not surprised that our people brought us together. And I am so moved. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Myra. So for our closing moment of Aché, calling in the names. So again, how you choose to do it, but I'm going to ask Evie to start today, but sharing the names of our loved ones. We often talk about our children. We brought them in. Evie and I brought in our grandmothers before, Majarita and Bianca, Siwe, Desan, and Javi, but bringing those names in so our circle is complete, because those that we can't see continue to live on as long as we call their names. And I think I understand it from Judaism. It's saying, may their memories be
always be a blessing, yeah.
Be a blessing. So calling in those names, what name do you want to bring in today, Evie?
So in honoring Myra's community, she talks a lot about the siblings, and how integral they were in the life journey, not only hobbies, but their communities, Aché. And so today I'm going to call Desan, who is brother to Eva, Corey, and Bryce. Ronald, who is brother to Sharice and Darlene. Mike, who is my brother-in-law, but also brother to John, Stephen, and Chris. And then finally, my own siblings, Sandy and Jose, my brother and sister.
Aché.
Aché.
Is there anyone in addition to our niece Javi that you want to call in, Myra?
I'll call in Javi's great grandparents, Claire and Henry, and Loretta and Harold. I just feel like they would appreciate this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm adding to the list Sherry Hayes Holmes, a dear, dear, dear blessed friend and sister, another mother to my child, and gone too soon. And then when I think of Frances Marie Nesbitt, my great grandmother, so just giving thanks for being here from that, honoring the tradition. So thank you, Myra.
Thank you, Myra.
Wow.
Giving you a big hug, girl.
You too. What a gift.
Like waterworks today. I mean, hello.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good.
So good. So cleansing. Myra,
Thank you.
may your continued journey be filled with blessings and with peace.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
We'd love for you to join the conversation with us on Instagram at 2, that's the number 2, mothers, 1, the number 1, Aché pod. And produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.
Until next time, may love carry you through.